The universe is indifferent to human existence. No matter how much science discovers, or how many questions philosophy asks, the universe offers no inherent meaning or purpose. We just find ourselves here, conscious meat on a ball of rock in space, and we have to figure it out on our own. The obvious solution to this predicament seems to be nihilism. In a universe devoid of meaning, there's no particular reason to think or do anything at all. However, nihilism has been historically unpopular. We humans are desperate to find some kind of meaning, some reason to make our existence make sense. Religion is another solution. All throughout human history, some kind of religion has been practiced in all cultures, and this provided the meaning that the universe seemed to lack. Our existence was made sense of and justified by some divine plan. We were created. There was a reason for our existence. Someone meant for us to be something. This worked for some time, but then Nietzsche made his famous assertion that God had died. Through a combination of scientific advancement and growing secularization, the support structures that upheld our world began to fall away, and we were once more left with unsteady foundations. And as if that wasn't enough, 2 world wars happened and proved the depths to which the human species could sink, the terrible things we were capable of inflicting upon ourselves. We needed a new kind of solution to the problem of meaning. And as it happened, 2 answers would come at just the right time, and the anxiety wars began. The first of these answers is existentialism. The version of existentialism we'll discuss is most associated with the French philosophers and intellectual powerhouses Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir, but it still inherits some key ideas and concepts from their predecessors, like Søren Kierkegaard and Friedrich Nietzsche. The core assertion of existentialism is that in a universe devoid of meaning, we have to create our own. Sartre famously summed this up with the phrase, "Existence precedes essence." What this means is that humans are not born with any kind of predefined nature or purpose. There's no blueprint, no divine manual for what it means to live a human life. Instead, we first exist, we're thrown into the world, as Heidegger put it, and only afterwards do we define ourselves through our choices and actions. For the existentialist, the fact that existence precedes essence means that we have absolute freedom. There is no determinism, no human nature we're forced to conform with. We can choose whatever we want and act however we wish. However, this comes with a cost. We are free, yes, but Sartre says that we are condemned to be free. As soon as we're thrown into the world, we're responsible for all our actions. Sartre makes this especially clear with a story. One of his students came to him to ask for his advice about whether he should fight in the war or remain at home and look after his mother. This is undoubtedly a heavy choice. If he went off to fight in the war, he could fulfill his duty to his country, but potentially die and drive his mother to despair. If he remained at home to help his mother, he would fulfill his duties as a son, but neglect his duties as a citizen. What was the student to do? What moral framework could help him make such a difficult decision? In the end, Sartre didn't have an answer for him. The student had to make the decision for himself. This same predicament is true for all of us, all the time. Kierkegaard once wrote that anxiety is the dizziness of freedom, and this is exactly what Sartre had in mind when he said that we're condemned to be free. Faced with an infinite selection of possible choices, we're bound to feel anxious when we have to pick one. The fact that there's no divine plan to fall back on, and no human nature to pull up as an excuse, is what causes us to feel that familiar, intense sickness of existential dread. But therein lies the source of another crucial concept in existentialism: authenticity. For the existentialist, to live authentically is to embrace our freedom fully, with all the terror that comes with it. It's the recognition that we can use our freedom to shape our lives however we see fit, and be responsible for the person that we choose to create. Often, it's extremely difficult to live an authentic existence. Much of the time, we exist in what Sartre would call bad faith. This is where we hide behind the illusion that we're not the ones responsible for our actions, and shift the blame onto our life circumstances or societal expectations. We deceive ourselves to avoid the uncomfortable truth that we're free. It's definitely the easier option. But authenticity, the true purpose of the existentialist, requires us to confront our freedom, accept the anxiety of responsibility that comes with it, and live in accordance with the choices that we make. It's the more difficult, but far more rewarding option. Unfortunately, it isn't a one-time deal. Authenticity happens moment to moment. Every day, with every action we make, we're responsible for making our meaning. We can't pass on the responsibility to society, our circumstances, or even the decisions of our own past selves. As Sartre famously said, man is nothing else but what he makes of himself. But existentialism is not the only philosophy that arose to confront the problem of meaning in a meaningless universe. Around the same time, another perspective took shape: absurdism. Absurdism, most associated with Albert Camus, starts in the same place as existentialism, but charts its own course through the wilderness of human existence. For the absurdist, the problem isn't so much that life has no inherent meaning, that's accepted without much of an issue. Rather, the problem is the human tendency to search for meaning in a universe that offers none. This is what Camus called the absurd. The classic image Camus offers to illustrate the absurdity of human existence is that of Sisyphus, the figure from Greek mythology condemned to an eternity of rolling a boulder up a hill, only to have it roll back down each time he nears the top. Sisyphus's task is both pointless and inescapable, and for Camus, this is what makes him such a perfect metaphor for the human condition. We wake up, commute to work, labour to earn an income, eat our meals, commute back home, and fall asleep. The same routine, day after day, every bit as pointless and inescapable as rolling a boulder up a hill, only for it to roll back down again. Camus thinks that there are three main solutions to this problem. First, we could kill ourselves. This would indeed solve the problem, but in an absurd universe, the act of suicide is just another absurd action. Second, we could commit a philosophical suicide. By this, Camus means that we could subscribe to a religion or another belief system that insulates us against the absurdity of the universe. But again, this does not solve the problem, just pushes it back. So what's left? For Camus, the third solution is revolt. Instead of succumbing to nihilism, Camus argues that we must rebel against the absurd. We must continue to live fully, embracing life's meaninglessness without resigning ourselves to despair. This is why he closes his essay with the famous line, "One must imagine Sisyphus happy." Once Sisyphus accepts the pointlessness and inescapability of his task, he's free from the hope of ever achieving a final purpose. There isn't one, it's a fantasy. Instead, we shouldn't deny the absurd, but live within it. Acknowledge the meaninglessness and decide to push on anyway. To live knowing the universe doesn't care and that our efforts are ultimately meaningless is the most profound form of rebellion. This doesn't make the anxiety somehow disappear, but we find a way to live in spite of it. As Camus put it, the only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion. We've taken a brief look at both existentialism and absurdism. Both philosophies start with the same basic premise: the universe has no inherent meaning. But they offer two different solutions to the problem. Existentialism states that our anxiety stems from our freedom. We are free to create our own meaning, but this freedom comes with the burden of responsibility. The anxiety that comes with making choices in a meaningless universe isn't something we can escape, it's something we have to take responsibility for. That way, we can live an authentic existence imbued with the meaning we've created for ourselves. Absurdism, on the other hand, starts with the same anxiety, but sees the search for meaning itself as absurd. The universe doesn't care, and there is no meaning to be found, so why bother pretending otherwise? Camus tells us to accept the absurdity, to live without hope for a deeper truth or ultimate purpose, and in that acceptance, we find a kind of freedom. It's not about rejecting the meaninglessness of the universe, but learning to live fully despite it. Where existentialism emphasizes responsibility, absurdism emphasizes acceptance. Where existentialists feel the weight of creating meaning, absurdists laugh at the absurdity of even trying. We've seen how both philosophies offer their own way out of the nihilism that seems to be the natural state of the universe. In the end, the main difference between them comes down to this one single choice. Do we create, or do we revolt? So, which philosophy wins the anxiety wars? Honestly, neither. As much as we want there to be one, there is no one ultimate answer that will make all this make sense. We'll still be conscious meat on a ball of rock in space. The sun will continue to exist after we die and our bodies break down. And the universe will continue to exist after the sun consumes the earth and the memory of human existence is erased from the fabric of reality entirely. The universe won't even watch all this happen because it doesn't experience the world like we do. The universe doesn't care because it can't care. There is no reason for its existence, just as there's no reason for our existence. It just is. And no amount of philosophy will change that. But maybe that's the point. After all, if we do believe that existentialism or absurdism is the ultimate answer, then it's either bad faith or philosophical suicide, and neither of those are decent options. In the end, it comes down to us, what kind of person we are, and what kind of choices we make. And as long as we're happy with those, I think both Sartre and Camus would be okay with that. Thank you very much for watching, peace and love, and I'll see you in the next video.